What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a wonderful week so far. Podcast time. This one is going to be a fun one for you. Víctor de la Sana. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, dude. My Spanish is not great. Víctor is the head creative director and booker at Elrow and a bunch of other places. He lists them all in the podcast. He looks after 3 festivals. He looks after clubs. He looks after Elrow as well. I came into contact with Víctor just after the pandemic, I believe. And he's one of the nicest guys I've come across. Works very hard and also just always makes time for people. Lovely guy. So I wanted to get him on the podcast and kind of get a bit of history of the amazing party that we all know of as Elrow. And he's also a manager, so he manages a couple of acts that you'll all hear about in the podcast. So without further ado, Víctor de la Sana.
How was it?
Yeah, movement was amazing, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Never been, man. I really want to come.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's hands down the best festival in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's super special. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's because it's obviously got, Detroit's obviously got the huge history of techno and just music generally, hip hop, Motown, and then obviously the city struggled and still struggles. Like it's a very blue collar city. It's very raw. Yeah. And the festival is like an all ages festival. So you get everyone from like all walks of life there, kids, grandparents, parents, sisters, it's brothers. It's amazing.
Nice. And, Melissa, my girlfriend, she's been there and she loved it. She really wants to come back as well.
Yeah. How are you, man? Anyway.
I'm good. Just landed this morning from Ibiza.
Yeah.
From the opening.
How was the opening?
The opening was good. We did the same numbers, a little bit more than 2019, which means that we are in a good place.
Yeah.
The island is really busy, which I don't know. It's one of those weird things, when I first went to Ibiza like 5 weeks ago, I could feel that the vibe was very VIP,
Yeah.
like everything's gone super expensive.
Yeah.
So I was a bit worried because I've been going to Ibiza for well over 20 years. And I feel that Ibiza was made by the people on the dance floor, not by the people on the VIPs. And it's slowly turning into that as well. And it's part of the business and it's fine. I don't hate VIPs or anything like that, but I just don't want to be in a situation where clubbers get priced out of Ibiza, because at the end, they are the heart of the party.
Yeah, I've got a few friends that moved out there this summer to work, and they're finding that rent is just through the roof. Which
that is.
The thing is, a lot of the island, people don't realize, like a lot of the island is built around foreign workers that go to Ibiza. But also the whole visa thing for English people to go to Europe. Like they can only spend like 3 months there working.
Brexit is being real, and I think now we're really seeing the effects, the ripple effect of Brexit. Just the other day, I was getting somebody sent me I don't know what it was. It felt like a vinyl, but so the postman just knocked on my door, and they were like, "Oh, I've got this package for you," and I'm like, "Okay, great."
That was me.
It's like, no, yeah,
that was me.
You?
Yeah, I sent you a vinyl.
Okay, so it got returned.
They
wanted me to pay £20 for it.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me who it was from, what it was until I paid. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to take something from somebody I don't know who sent it to me. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. If I I would have taken it.
No, it's fucking.
But I got so infuriated. It's like, it said 20 on value because I saw that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you want to charge me another 20 for it? Why? It's just like.
That's so stupid because I put it down as a gift, so it shouldn't.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's not your fault. I'll bring it to you in Ibiza. It's all
bring
good.
It to me in Ibiza.
Yeah.
Person.
But I totally agree. It's just so fucked how everything's just like. It was the most stupid thing that happened in British culture. if I'm honest with you.
Yeah,
It's the most
I
stupid.
agree.
Because the thing
I
is,
remember. I was in Glastonbury when the voting happened, because it was around the same time.
Yeah.
And I remember the mood at Glastonbury changed completely that day. Completely changed.
Yeah.
It was bad, man. It was dark. It was a dark day in Glastonbury that day when the Brexit happened, when the voting happened.
Yeah, it's very strange that politics is fucked, right? It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
But I think like it for our industry, it changes everything completely. Like changes everything, especially like now with inflation generally. Like inflation is going through the roof, which we all knew was going to happen after COVID, because that was just going to be the case, right? If you close down a country for 2 years and give everyone money for 2 years, something's going to kind of have to come out at the end of it.
Of course.
But how do you think it's going to affect parties? Do you think it's...
I think the problem right now that I see as a booker and as a manager as well, the problem is that the cost of flights, for example, and hotels and things like that is pricing out like the up and coming artists that are coming through. Because, you know, if you have your 10, 15, 20K DJ, you know, they can do an all-in, they can pay for their own flights, they can pay for a hotel room, etc. But, you know, if you got these kids that are coming through and they're making waves, but they're getting paid maybe like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 euros for a show, which is, you know, it's a fair price. But, you know, most of that money goes on flights and other things. And I also, you know, promoters having to put up all these charges is not also fair, you know, not for big promoters, for every promoter, you know, small promoters are going to really struggle to make good lineups if these prices keep going up, you know.
What do you think the positives will come out of it? Because I truly think there's going to be something that flips around. Do you think there's going to be any positives that come out of it?
Out of the pandemic, out of this,
just out of the situation, not necessarily the pandemic, but just like out of the situation that we're in right now, with like everything getting more expensive and kind of.
I think if it keeps going like that, a lot of especially smaller promoters will be looking at local talent, which I think is a great thing. You know, you know, we've all been looking. Or I know I've been looking at a lot of up and coming talent during the pandemic, and I am booking them now. In fact, my lineup in Amnesia is, I think it's like 60-70% are new people that have never played for us before, which is great. I love it. And we're taking a risk as well, especially because we are a party that, you know, caters for a certain kind of sound and, you know, energy, as you well know. So, you know, some of these kids maybe, you know, are they going to be scared if they come to play for Amnesia in front of, you know, 7,000 people for the first time they come to Ibiza? But, you know, you have to give them a chance.
I think that's the thing. I think that is where it's going to go. I think promoters are probably going to start building crews in their cities and kind of building really interesting parties and kind of doing more like kind of what you guys do at Elrow is like you actually throw a party. It's not necessarily based around the DJ. People turn up anyway. And
exactly.
The DJs help. And I think that's personally, like, if I was a promoter, it's the most business savvy way to go about throwing a party, where you don't actually have to rely on the DJ, which it used to be years ago. The DJ was never the pull. Now it seems over the last like 10 years, DJs have become the only reason why tickets sell. Not because of the night.
And don't get me wrong, if you book in a festival and you book in like big spaces, you also need, you know, your brand is going to get to that point, but you need to get to that point. And to get to that point, that's where your lineup comes through, you know, especially for an event like Elrow. You know, I know we can sell X amount of tickets just based on the brand.
Yeah.
But I know I need a good lineup. I know I need an interesting lineup to sell the rest of the tickets. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship in a way, you know. The DJs come to play for a good party. Their profile can go big, and you know, for us, me as a booker and a music director, then it's nice to have a good lineup that works accordingly to the party and to the vibe of the event. So,
no, I totally agree.
So
I totally agree. When did you guys start in Ibiza? Because I think this is my personal first experience with Elrow was when you first went to Ibiza.
I'm gonna go on a limb in here and say that this was 10 if not 11 years ago.
Yeah.
The thing with the pandemic, it feels like 2 years have just gone by, and we don't count them. I still say, I remember last season when we were in Ibiza, and that was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it feels like our brains have kind of vanished these 2 years. But yeah, I would say that it was about 10 years ago, because we started doing Privilege. We started when Vista Club opened.
Yeah.
In fact, this is a little not known fact that not many people know, and that we designed the Vista Club. Juan Arnau, Senior, Juan's father, the originator. He helped design Vista, because we got obviously Privilege was way too big for us. We were a small brand from Barcelona that we were not doing big shows. We were not doing hardly anything outside of Barcelona. So in fact, the first time we did Ibiza was at the Zoo Project. That was the first time.
Is that still around?
That is still around. I saw posters for it in Ibiza this week.
Because I remember I was living in Ibiza. I don't think they do it at
Benimusa anymore.
Yeah, when I was living in Ibiza, the Zoo Project started, and I remember that was I think it was Sundays. Oh no, I can't remember what days it was. But it was literally all the workers of the island would just go to the Zoo Project, and it was just the best party.
It was the Zoo Project was amazing. I mean, I'm sure it still is. I haven't been there for years, but
it's just
it was always a fun party.
Always, way too much ketamine was taken in that party. It was always messy. I want to talk about, because I think people listening obviously know Elrow. It's a worldwide brand. It's huge, but I don't think they realize the history of Elrow. And I've briefly spoke about it with you and briefly read about it on the websites. But the history is pretty rich in
I was gonna say, how long do we have for this?
I know. We can go all day, man. We can go all day. I really want people to understand what the roots of the brand is, because it's really important that people know.
I can give you a lowdown, a quick lowdown, a breakdown on it, and I won't bore anybody, I hope. So this is obviously Elrow, as many people know, is a family-run business, and this started with the Arnau family. The Arnau family is they consider themselves, and they call themselves, rightly so, a family of entertainers. And because for them it's just to have fun. We do these events. Obviously, yes, it is a business. No one's gonna lie about this. Same as a DJ does this for a passion, but they also get paid for it. So it is a business and a way of life. But for them, the most important thing is for people to have fun. You can, if you're in a club with them, you will always see the family looking at the crowd, and that's what they taught us as well. Look at the crowd. Make sure that the people are having fun, and if they're not having fun, try to find out where is the issue. So they basically started in 1870. So this is seventh generation of people that working in the entertainment industry at the moment, which is Juan and Cruz, which are the youngest generation, and they are the founders of Elrow. But these all started in a little village 2 hours away from Barcelona, called Fraga, and that's where they started, like a little casino, and they were bringing vedettes and dancers and stuff like that, and a bit of live music, orchestras. So that was the beginning, and then that started morphing into like dance halls with they were opening dance halls where the men would be standing in one side of the room and the women would be sitting on the other side of the room. And the women would be sitting there on a chair, and the mothers will be behind of the women. So the men would have to come to the mother, ask permission for them to take the woman to dance, the daughter to dance. And if the mother would go like this on the daughter's elbow, then they would be allowed to get up and dance with the man.
Could you imagine that happening today?
Oh my God! Imagine that being an amnesia. Excuse me.
Now everyone's just swiping left and right on Tinder.
Yeah, exactly.
Changed.
And then from there, it just morphed into many different things. The main thing and the more stable thing was being a cinema. And the cinema was there, and then the cinema turned into they even had like a mute cinema where with a live orchestra playing music.
No way.
So yeah.
And
then he came to Juan's grandfather, who was lovingly called in Spain the grandfather of techno, because he used to walk around the clubs at like 5-6 in the AM before on a Sunday morning before closing and before going to church. To to ask the kids that were completely fucked up around the dance floor, saying, "How was your night? Did you have fun? What was your favorite DJ tonight?" And yeah. So anyway, moving forward between the cinemas and the concert halls and everything, they opened a club 80 years ago called Florida 135. Many different names, and that's where the electronic music really started. Out of that club came magazines, fanzines, many different things. I remember they used to send you the flyer, the artwork used to be like a handmade painting of one of the DJs of the month, and they would send it to you by mail to your house every month with a monthly program. I still have most of those saved. They're like a treasure.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and things started moving. They changed. They were playing like hard house. They were playing techno before techno was trendy in Spain. They lost a lot of money because nobody would understand what they were doing. They were the first people to bring Richie Houghton, Jeff Mills, Laurent Garnier to play in Spain. They, and out of there, a small after party called Monegros came out and started as an after party from Florida 135 almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
That started as an after party in the middle of the desert in a house that the family had. And that grew into what we're going to celebrate 29 years this year, Monegros Festival, grew into a monster of more than 40,000 people in the desert for 22 hours.
That's crazy.
And out of all those creativities, when the family moved out of Fraga, when Juan, which is now the CEO, when Juan started going to university, they decided to move to Barcelona, the whole family. And that's when they started running a venue in here. They started Elrow, and then, Elrow took many shapes and forms and different clubs. And the venue that we are now is going to be our 10, 11, 12 years already that it's been there. Started as an after party as well, 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, started as a nightclub, sorry. Didn't work, lost a lot of money. And then when they were about to close, they were like, let's try to do an after party. And let's start to play with people and throw them confetti and throw toys. And, at the beginning, it was just like these toys that you can find in the Chinese shops, you know, and just water pistols and, shit like that. And then it morphed, slowly it started becoming bigger, and it morphed into what everyone knows now, like these big productions with intricate decorations and actors and steel walkers and all that craziness that we surround ourselves with.
How many events do you do on a year? It must be loads.
Pre-pandemic, I think we were doing 150 shows worldwide.
Jesus.
Plus 3 festivals.
And you're booking all of those, right?
Not all of those. I'm the music director for it. I am personally responsible for Monegros, for Elrow Town in Amsterdam, Madrid, and London, the Elrow Island Festival that we do in Croatia, plus the Florida 135 Club. That's what I do. I have my right-hand man, Alex, who does all the bookings for the tour. With the local promoters. Yeah. So it's a little bit of work.
I was going to say that's a lot of work. And also, what's it like with the festivals? Because I think, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but booking club shows and the Elrow stuff maybe feel like it's kind of a little bit easier curating wise. But when you're curating a festival, it must be a little bit different when you're kind of sitting down again.
The Elrow festivals are, we try, because obviously Elrow is pretty much known for more house and tech house sounds. So when we started doing Elrow Town festivals, we want to make it really feel, we didn't get this right at the beginning. It just, at the beginning, I remember most of the state, it didn't really feel like a festival. It just felt like a big party.
Yeah.
which was fine. You learn with time. And then now I think we just got it right, where you really feel like a festival. It's a very immersive festival. And I try to book different sounds on every, main stage. You have your main headliners.
Yeah.
I will always put a techno tent where I can book like really like harder techno acts, and they work well. And then I have another stage which maybe is more housey, more disco, or more something like something a bit different. So at least you feel that when you move around the festival, you have different ambiences.
Yeah.
Monegros is a whole different beast. Monegros is a 22 hours festival in the middle of the desert. There's no camping. You drive in, you drive out. It's 40 degrees during the day and 10 degrees at night.
That's brutal.
It's just very, very radical festival. It's very extreme festival. It's a very extreme experience. And, this year I have 11 stages and over 125 artists, ranging from hard techno to hard trance to drum and bass to hip hop. Rave music, like more classical techno, more melodic. So it's that is, and to be honest, I love doing that because it's such a challenge to curate such a big lineup, especially and make it fit all in one day, that I really enjoy it. And also from a romantic point of view, Monegros was the first festival I ever went in my life.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels like full circle in a way, because I come from Huesca, which is a small town next to Fraga, like an hour's drive from Fraga. So, when I was younger, there was nothing. There was not much culture where I came from. But we had Florida 135. It was pushing the trade techno and was pushing like techno in general, and I remember in 98 or 97 or 96 was the first time I went there, and I went to see Clarke, and I was like, wow. That was the day when Clarke was charging 3,000 euros. In pesetas. It was 1 million pesetas, which is about 3,000 euros or 6,000 euros. So you can imagine how things have changed slightly. So, for me to suddenly 8 years ago, be offered to be the music director for Florida 135 and Monegros and Elrow, which is the first clubs and the first festival that I ever went in my life as a teenager. I wasn't even allowed legally to go in the club, but I don't know, they let me in anyway. So
yeah, man, I bet that's pretty special. How did it start with you then, wanting to get into it, and then how did you get to the point where you're at now?
I've always been involved in music in one way or another. I don't think I've ever had any job that has not been with music. And, I'm turning 43 this year. So I think I've been very blessed in that sense. I started like pretty much everyone in this industry. I think I started DJing. I moved to London when I just turned 19 years old to study sound engineering and music technology. Because that's what I wanted to do. My parents bought me a Roland MC303 when I was 15 for my birthday. And that kind of changed everything.
That's a solid birthday present. That's a very good
exactly. Yeah. And because I was just talking about music all day, and what do you want for Christmas? Just want music. I want, I remember buying my first CD was Public Enemy, 1991, Fear of a Black Planet, and from there I was just so obsessed with American hip hop and 90s hip hop, and then it went into electronic music, and that's when I started making electronic music. I cannot play any instrument, so I could play a drum machine.
Yeah. I think that's most of it. I was talking to that on the weekend, and somebody asked me, like, why did you choose house and techno? And I was like, I know at the point when I was like, I loved dance music. Obviously growing up in the UK, it's like dance music culture is just thrown at you from like the early 90s. But yeah, I think that was one of the reasons as well, is that I can play the piano a little bit now, but like I couldn't play anything, but I could click buttons on a computer and press a button on a synth or something like that.
You have a good ear. You don't need to know, music. Maybe you don't need to have music history, but you know when something sounds wrong or right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I moved to London to study this, and I was already DJing in my hometown. I was playing all kinds of music just because I love music. So I would by any kind of music.
Yeah.
So, I would play in the afternoons, start playing at nights, and I was playing anything from the Chemical Brothers to Goran Bregovic, which is this Yugoslavian folk composer who's made music scores, but it has very uplifting music.
Oh, really?
So I would
I've not
mix
heard
that.
of him.
Yeah. I'll send you some stuff.
Please.
Of it. And I would mix that with rock and pop and with Mano Negra, which is Manu Chao's old band. And, it was just fun music and uplifting music. And, so it was a bit of a, anything goes, We were happy that we were lucky that the bars that I played, they supported, and they just didn't want to play the radio music that was popular at the time. So I could get to play the music that I liked, and, and people liked that music. So by the time I moved to London, I got a DJ gig as well in a bar, and I became a resident there. And then I started working as a resident at Pasha for a few years, and I did a residency slot at Ministry of Sound for a few years as well, in the small venues, in the small rooms, not in the box or anything like that. Yeah. But I was just DJing, and it was.
Why did you move
20s.
to London?
Because there was nowhere for me to study music engineering in Spain, sound engineering in Spain. So the only real proper school close to me, and I already spoke English because my mom used to be an English teacher. Okay. So I grew up speaking in English. So SAE in London at that time. This was back in 1999. So SAE in London was probably the only decent school to learn this. So then I started DJing. By halfway through my degree, I started DJing in clubs. I was in my early 20s DJing in London in the end of the 19s. I caught the last wave of the illegal raves, where you would call the landline and they will tell you the address. Yeah. So it was fun. So I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to be a sound engineer anymore. I just want to be a DJ.
Much more fun.
Yeah. And then after that, DJing thing kind of not dried out, but there was a time where, it was a bit weird in clubbing in London. Yeah. Like a lot of lazy promoters were just asking you to bring people, and they would pay you based on your guest list. Yeah. And I didn't like that. I felt so much pressure, and I was always in the music for the fun of it, and because I love music and I love playing music to people. I wasn't really there saying, I want to become the new Carl Cox. Yeah, obviously at one point you think about that, but it just wasn't for me. So I became the soul, dance, and hip hop buyer for H&B in central London.
Oh, cool!
In Oxford Street, and I was there for 5 years. And then I got offered to open DJ Mag in Spain. Back in 2010. So I moved back to Madrid. I was the managing director for DJ Mag for almost 4 years. Then I moved to Australia to do the same thing. I opened DJ Mag in Australia, but then I stayed only 1 year. It was just too far away from everything I know.
Australia's so far away.
It's too far, man. I remember just walking my dog around Sydney and just seeing the planes go through and going like, fuck, I just want to be on that plane.
Yeah.
So I came back to Spain, and after a few months of being in Spain, I did a bit of press, and then I got a call from Juan, and he offered me the job, and the rest is history, as they say.
Wow, man, that's pretty amazing. It's
thank you.
And then how? Because you manage it, mate. How do you have any time? Like
I don't. Yeah. I used to have hair.
Same. Because like it's really interesting in this industry. I feel like you meet certain people and they're at the top of their game, but they do so much, and I think that's also the reason why they're at the top of their game, because they're always constantly trying to do more and more and more. And it's kind of some things don't work, and you try something new, and you try something new until it sticks to the wall, and it kind of does work. When did you start the whole management thing? Was it kind of coincided with booking, and you were like, I could probably help some artists out?
It did. I mean, as you know, the first artist that I started managing was Andres Campo, which I know is a friend of yours as well. Yeah. And with Andres, it just happened by accident in a way, because when I came back from Australia, Andres has been a good friend of mine for many, many years.
Yeah.
We both come back from the same city. We were both DJing pretty much at the same time in the city. He was playing more like hard house and hard trance style. I was more into house and techno, but it was a small town. It was like maybe it was 5 of us who were DJs at the time.
It's amazing.
So when I came back from Australia, Andres was, he wasn't a big DJ yet. He was just doing a few shows around Barcelona and stuff. But he was working at the office for Elrow and Florida and Monegros. He was a graphic designer at the office.
No way.
And when I came back, and the music director that they had at the time left after 12 years, and he said to Juan, he was like, "Oh, Victor is back from Australia, and he's not working with anybody. He's just doing like some freelancing stuff." And that's when I got the call. So I felt, kind of like, look, I'm going to be in a position now that I'm going to meet a lot of people. I'm going to have kind of an important position in the industry. So why don't I become your manager and I help you with your career? So that was 8 years ago.
And now he's a king in Spain.
Now he's one of the highest seller tickets. Highest ticket sellers in Spain. So
how does that feel though for you? Like, because obviously you've gone back so far with each other, and you're obviously close friends. And I think for me,
amazing.
because I think for me, like a management, there's two different types of managers that I find in this industry that I've kind of came across, and there's one that's pure business. And it's strictly, we're just making percentages, and the artist doesn't really have a relationship with them, but the artist understands that this is just a business relationship, and they're doing what they can to make money. And then there's the other side of it where it started from something small with somebody because they've got a really strong relationship with them. Personally, that's where I like with Ryan. Like we worked together nearly 4 years now, I think. And that started really organically. And obviously at that point, I wasn't earning great money or anything like that. And it kind of slowly grows. But for you, it's like you're starting with a mate, and you've pretty much helped a friend of yours get his dreams.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been my, I don't put myself my medal, he's the one going out every weekend to DJ, and he's the one on the studio making music. I like to think that I guide him through, to what's best for his career. But at the end, managers for me, I agree 100% with you. I don't like that. This is just a percentage. This is a business, because for me, I've been in this industry long enough to know that is not a lasting relationship, and that is not a lasting career. You have to learn to say no to many things before you say yes, and that's something that artists, especially, sometimes they're eager. They just want to go out and play and play, you know. And you have to go like, hey, take it easy. Maybe it's best if we don't do this now, because, but if you don't do this now, it's because then we're going to get this done. And this is much better, So that's what I think my job is making sure that things are done and try to guide him through things, and obviously I have different connections in other places that help the career of the artist. Yeah. So that's the management. For me, it's not just a percentage at the end of the month. It's, and I like to work with people that I like. I manage 2 other acts, and they happen pretty much. I manage Bastian Bucks, which is one Elrow resident, and that happened in a similar way. He had a management company, had a booking agency. He was not happy with them, or they were breaking the relationship, and I was like, oh, I'll help you. I'll help you get through. And we've been together for 4 years now, and Bastian is growing his profile, especially in the USA as well. We just launched his new label. The 2 releases have gone into the top 20 on Beatport. Jamie's been playing them. A lot of people have been supporting, so it's great. It's, for me right now, it's really motivates me to see these guys that we've been working with, and how we set up a plan, and a strategy that we wanted to do, and how it comes to life. That's very rewarding, and forget about money. That's just very rewarding on a personal level,
No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And the other kid that I'm managing is called Render, and he's, I started with him last year in September. he was doing his first shows, and now he's getting big in Italy. He's getting good shows in the UK. So yeah, it's a process, but it's good. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
For like artists that are new and up and coming, when would you say is the time for a manager to take on the work? Like, when do you think? Because I like, obviously, I'm sure you come across it all the time. I come across it all the time where you meet new artists that are like just starting out, and they're like, I need a manager and I need an agent now.
Yeah,
what's your
that is for me the biggest mistake any artist can do.
Agree.
100%. I saw it when I was a DJ. I saw people that were playing. They were my colleagues when we were DJing in London, and London circuit in the early 2000s, late 90s. It was quite close at the end of the day. It was pretty much the same faces playing everywhere. And I saw some of those people, or some people that they took on an agency because they were like, oh, this is it. And this business, as you well know, this is based on relationships.
Totally.
That's how it is. I always say to my artists and to everyone really that I've done a few master classes, and I've talked at AD and IMS, and one of the main things that I always say is just be nice to people, man. Don't be a dick, because this industry is very big, but it's very, very, very small.
Super small.
We all know each other. Yeah. We talk between ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you're a dick, that's gonna stay with you for a long time. And if you're a dick, but you're like a super huge headliner, then it might work out for you. But if you're trying to make it, or you're like a mid-level artist and you start being a dick, then it's just egos kill artists for me. That's what destroys careers, I think.
Do you think a good manager can help that? If
I think must help that.
Yeah.
I think a good manager is the one who should go to the artist and say, hey man, you're being a dick. If you carry on being like this, it's gonna be very hard for me to get you any shows, or to to get you anything. I don't want any bad feedback from an artist when after the show.
No.
Anybody can have a bad day, and anybody can have a bad set, and that's fine. I don't get on that. But just be nice to people. It's free, you don't have to pay for that.
My saying is it's always so much harder to not be nice to people. Like to not be nice to someone and to not respect somebody is actually more effort to like go out of your way to be that type of person.
I agree.
You just don't need to be that. It's just easier generally.
No, and there's one thing that my dad told me as a kid, and it's nothing that I'm not gonna discover the wheel in here. But you never know who's gonna be behind the door that you're gonna knock in 5, 10, 15 years time.
Yeah.
So why you fuck somebody, when you don't know that person is gonna be later? Maybe you're gonna need that person for something. So just try not to close any doors behind you. So that would be my advice for any new artist, or for any artist in general.
No, I agree, because I think the thing that really stands out to me is there's still some huge artists in the world that some of the, like Camel Fat, for example, they don't have a manager.
Yeah.
And they do it themselves, and they have I think they have an assistant that does the back end stuff that they obviously don't have time to do. But I think it's very easy as an artist to want a manager and expect a manager and agent to build your career, where realistically it's actually down to you as the artist to kind of create hype. And
that's the thing. I was saying, we got sidetracked with the being nice thing, but an artist, when you start DJing, you start getting gigs because you've built a relationship with promoters or with other resident DJs, and they start giving you shows. The minute that you put an agent between that promoter and yourself, you're probably going to lose that promoter.
Yeah.
Not because, you need an agent or a manager when they come to find you, not when you want to find them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're good and maybe you're getting super busy and nobody has noticed you, and you get like 20 offers a day, then you need to find an agent, because you need somebody to organize your schedule and everything.
But I also think when you're at that level, and you will have so many offers anyway.
somebody would have come to pick you up already. Some agent or some manager would have come and say, oh, hold on, why is this guy playing everywhere? He doesn't have an agency or a management. Okay, I want to take him. You know, that's what I think happens. You know, that's how it should be. It should be the natural process of you're doing good on your own. You know, you're working hard, you're releasing music, and then somebody's going to notice you. Somebody's going to go like, hey, come here, I want to manage you, or I want to be your agent. And, you know, let's take this to the next step.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think creating enough hype around yourself. I think then you understand how hard it is as well as an artist.
Again,
I think go and put a night on, go and promote for a year, go and learn how the business works.
Yeah.
Like I've promoted a couple of times and I'm terrible at it. And it made me realize how hard it is to put nights on. And it made me never want to put nights on ever again. But it's still the whole process of learning it. And if you learn, the more you learn in the industry, the more when you get to a point in your career where you're full time, you'll understand it a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think it's important, and this does not only apply just for the music industry. I think this applies for any industry. If you want to be a CEO or a manager or something, you know, you need to know your employees, what do they need to do in order to get the job done. Yeah. I mean, if I'm a music director, I know how it takes to book a tour. I know what it takes to, book a flight, book a hotel, whatever. So, you need to know what your employees are doing and how they're doing it, because you've done it before, you know?
Totally.
I think basically you need to eat shit before you can, you can eat honey. Well, if it makes any sense.
I think that's the thing is, as I think with social media nowadays, we all see the glamorous side of life, right? In everything, not just in music, in everything. Successful people, not all successful people, but a lot of people want to kind of give a perception that in fact, it's not just successful people, it's everybody wants to give this perception of their life that it's something beautiful. And you get that with DJs. Like if I see another fucking private jet on a DJ posting a private jet photo, I unfollow them because it does my head in. But it's like, it's part of the business, but it's people don't see the hustle side of it, where the hard work that goes into the behind the scenes of how to get to that point. And I guess it's the same for you, if you know what I mean. You talk about your story and you're like, well, it started in the early 2000s or late 90s, and to like how long it took you to get to, like, took 20 years to get to where you're at now, maybe a bit longer. And I think we live in this society now where we want everything now, and we want everything to happen in the next year or two. Realistically, it's just not doable unless you write a hit record.
And I think, and this doesn't apply to everyone, but I believe that the people that rise super fast, you don't understand. I mean, you do understand, but people in general, they don't understand the amount of pressure that there is for that person, for that artist to, if you've gone like this and you achieve your first track as a number one, everybody expects a number one after that.
Yeah.
Anything below is failure.
Yeah.
That pressure. And this is why I think also this industry has such a level of depression and mental problems, in a way, because there is a lot of pressure, both for the DJ to perform. You're going to perform in front of 500, 5,000 or 50,000 people every weekend. And that is a huge amount of pressure, to get on stage in front of so many people. And it's your career there. It's not like you've put you've taken 3 months to do your final presentation for your university or for your job. No, you are there on the moment, and this is life, and that's a lot of pressure. And for a promoter as well, you're putting your livelihood onto a festival or into an event that sometimes until a week after the event, you don't even know if you've ruined yourself or you made yourself some money.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally.
So yes, is as you say, I think social media has glamorized this industry in a way that is not really. It is glamorous, and we all love to work in it, and it's very beautiful to work in something that you're passionate about.
Totally.
but the pressure is huge, you know, to deliver and to deliver a good show and to deliver a good lineup when you're a booker, or to deliver a good event when you're a promoter, to find a nice venue, to, you know, there's a lot of competition, you know, due to social media as well, and due to all these private jet pictures and champagne pictures and girls pictures. If you are a 15-year-old kid and you see this guy who's flying private jet with 3 girls and 3 models and drinking Dom Perignon in a backstage, you're like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously. Same as when we were kids, we wanted to be astronauts, you know?
Yeah.
That's that's the same thing. Don't you want to go to the moon? Yeah, of course I want to go to the fucking moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's you know, it's a tough business. There is this quote from Hunter S. Thompson about the music industry. I don't know if you know it.
No.
Which no, oh my god, this is the best. It says, I might have to find it. Can I search it?
Yeah. Search, man.
I don't misquote it, please.
I need to watch the film about him that Johnny Depp did.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen
it.
That's
amazing. Hold on, you made me disconnect the Wi-Fi. Let me connect it again.
Sorry, man.
No, this quote is something that I always say it to people, because it really represents the what the music industry is for many of us. Music industry quote. There you go. So where is it? The music business is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free, and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side. You know?
It's true. It's so true.
It's true. I mean, it's obviously it's exaggerated and everything, but it is the truth. You know, we're all in here because we love it, and you know, and yeah, this is what happens on a daily basis.
Yeah, I was talking to some friends this weekend, and I was like, what? I think about this a lot, and more so recently. And I'm not too sure why it's been coming up more in my life recently, but it's like, what the fuck would I do if music wasn't happening? And like, I don't know what I could do. I have nothing. I have nothing else.
I've been asked that question many times, and I don't think I can answer it.
No,
you know, because I can tell you what I wanted to study before I got into music. You know, I wanted to be working with computers.
Yeah.
I was attracted to computers, and you know, I'm talking like the very early computers, like 486. You know. There was pretty much not even internet at the time. It's just like, I always liked the Ataris. I also like video games. So I was drawn to that, which in a way is parallel to getting my drum machine and being interested in music through electronics or through IT, you know, through computers. But yeah, I have no fucking clue what I've been doing if I didn't get into the music industry, or if music suddenly just stops right now. What the fuck would I do? I don't know.
I think it's like whenever if you're a creative person and you have to be taken out of that creativity, I think thinking about it, I would just do something just to make a fuck ton of money. It sounds awful, but like, if I can't enjoy what I'm gonna do, then I might as well do something that earns enough money that I can just go and fuck off life.
100%. I think that's a good calling. You know, I cannot do what I love. Might as well, you know, study, do a career that is going to make me money.
Yeah.
So I don't have to work for the rest of my life.
Although one of my best friends from school, he's a lawyer, and like he's in one of the biggest firms in America, but he in the UK office, and insane amounts of money. And he's like, I just don't have time to even enjoy the money. He's like, I work so much that he's like 6 days a week sometimes, like 12, 14 hours a day. And you're like, I'd rather work 12, 14 hours a day writing a record that's going to make people happy than have.
I mean, I think in those people's heads, because I have a friend who is in a similar situation, but, you know, he always says, I will retire by the time I'm 50. So, you know, I guess, you know, work half of your life, enjoy the rest of your life. That I could live with that also, you know.
There's that saying though, isn't it?
In a way.
There's that saying that when you're young, I don't fully know it, and I can't remember who originally brought it up, but it was like a saying similar that it was, you have enough time when you're young, but you don't have the money. But when you're old, you have the money, but you don't have enough time. You
don't have enough time. Yeah. There is a Spanish one. I'm not going to translate it, but it's something similar. You know, that life should be the other way around.
The other way around, yeah.
Yeah, when you grow up, you are born in your old age and you're taken care of, and you're sitting in a home, and you're ready to go out and work, and you work your life, and then when you retire is when you are like 25 or 23, or 30 years old, when you start your working life. And how do you end up, and you die with an orgasm, which is when you're produced by your parents. So it's a good way to go.
I love that. How important for you has travel been in your life, and kind of given you experience different cultures, and how has that kind of helped you grow as like a person?
I think travel is the most rewarding thing you can ever do as a human being. I think living amongst other cultures and living in different countries and having challenges that you would never have if you didn't leave your country, not even your town, your country. I think that's super important. I think it's made me the person that I am now. I've lived in my hometown until I was pretty much 19 years old. Then I moved to London. Then I lived in Madrid. Then I lived in Sydney, in Australia. Now I live in Barcelona. My girlfriend is from Puerto Rico, so I have that culture in there as well. And we travel to Puerto Rico. I go to the United States at least 5-6 times a year. I have friends all over the world. You learn how to live with other cultures. You find people there. They're just not. It's not that they're not nice. It's just that the culture is to be abrupt with other people. And I don't know. I think you grow in a way that only traveling and living somewhere else and having the challenges of moving to a different city brings you to your to your life experience. I think it's amazing. I would recommend to anybody that go travel, take 1 year off if you can, go live for a month to another city. That's, you don't need to live for a whole year in a city, but go take a whole month off, instead of going to the beach or to to your local mountain apartment or whatever. Go to another country. I just spent a month in Puerto Rico with my girlfriend, and it was eye-opening. I was never into Caribbean, but I found a place that I was like, wow, this is amazing, because I could absorb the culture as well, for a whole month. So that's
how
so
is it
rich,
out there? Because I've never been. I've really wanted to go. I want to go to Puerto Rico, and I want to go to Costa Rica.
I think we spoke about this in Miami before I went. So now I can give you the lowdown.
Yeah, please do.
It's great, man. I love it. I love it because it's such a lively city, as a lively island. They obviously have the US influence, which for some things is good, for other things is bad. But you don't feel like, when you go to other places in the Caribbean, I always feel like a tourist all the time. I don't know if it makes any sense, like the differences of the quality of life and the income is very difficult to I don't enjoy it anyway. But in there is absolutely fine, and people are super welcoming. There's huge music culture with salsa, even reggaeton. I don't like it, but they have a massive music culture. They have bars open every day. I don't know. It's great. The food is great. The weather is great.
What do you think it is with cultures like that? Because I find this when I go to I guess it's poorer countries, right, where it's less, life is less about making money and more about enjoying life and having fun. Why do you think that is in poorer countries?
I think because when you live in like a first world country like we do, I think it's something to do with consumerism and capitalism, that you have things that you can get. You can buy a PS5 if you want, or you can save enough money in a few months or in a year to buy it. For other people, that's just it's just unthinkable. I remember the first time I went to India, and I was only in Mumbai for like 4 or 5 days, and I was shocked how happy people are and how poor they were at the same time. There's people living on the streets and sleeping on the street, but they had a smile on their face. I don't know. So I think that they just happy and content with what they have, and they learn to live like that. While us in first world countries, we just always want more and more, and I want to make more money, and I want to make more. And some of these people, they just happy to have a roof over their heads and a family and a healthy family, and they're just grateful for that.
Yeah, I can definitely take things for granted. 100%. And I think it's very easy to just get caught in that rat race of wanting more, whether that's career-wise, whether that's finances, whether that's relationships, whether that's anything in life. Like, I think it's something that I think people would, if they said that it didn't happen to them, they'd be lying. But like every time I've been to like, I've not been to loads of like second or third world countries. I've been to South Africa. That was a opener. Complete. Oh, is the dog awake?
Dog is, I don't know what he's doing. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh my God, you want to see what he's done? I can show you. So he's hooked himself with a fucking modem cable through the modem and just... give me a second.
No rush, man.
Come on. Fuera. Sorry, you can include that if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna. If anybody's not listening, if everyone's listening, you can go watch it on YouTube. It's quite cute. Yeah, but I think like going to these poorer countries, it goes back to what we were saying about travel. What you were saying about travel is experiencing different cultures and actually seeing how grateful people are for just having a roof over their head and having a meal in their belly, and it puts a lot of things.
You learn to respect, and
totally,
and you learn that there's nothing wrong with having another religion or having sleeping with somebody that you might not fancy. It's just stupid things that they seem to be very important in the world these days, and that they seem to be causing wars and causing shit all around. It's secondary, it's just, you shouldn't worry about these things. Just be happy and lead a happy life, and just, don't be a dick.
Yeah, totally, man, totally. Let's talk a little bit about Ibiza and Elrow this summer and what you guys have got planned for the summer. Am I right in saying the Ibiza party somebody's doing all night long in one room, and then you have...
Correct.
Yeah.
What was the concept behind that? Yeah, when we started in Ibiza, we started at Vista Club. Sorry. We started at Vista Club, and then, I have 2 dogs. We started at Vista Club, and there was just like the small venue, I think it was like 2,000 capacity. And so that was Elrow, that's it. Then we moved to Space, Ibiza. And then we were doing the main room was us, and the terrace was run by Kehakuma, which was like a more underground, like home run party from Space. And then, Elrow started growing internationally, and we became bigger. So we decided to take over the whole of Space.
Yeah.
So that's when we were like, okay, so what do? We cannot just do 2 Elrows, fighting over each room, each other in a different room. So nobody was doing the all night long thing. And, we came up with the idea of, why don't we just put a DJ, the whole night, and we call it Elrow City, and we decorate and we decorate each city with... Sorry.
It's all good, man. I love the dogs.
So we decorate each, each time. So, if, I don't know, if Hilario Alicante is from Milan or whatever, I'm sorry, I don't know, Naples. I don't know where he is. Let's scratch that. But we would put some decoration on the room from the city where DJ is.
I didn't know that.
So that's but not the whole decoration, just maybe like a couple of details, like the most representative thing of that city. That's where the name Elrow City came out from. And it worked really well. We started with Paco Suna, we had Groove Armada, we had Richie Ahmed, can't remember who else was doing it the first years, but it worked really, really well the all night long, and you kind of have to be, not everybody can do an all night long. We're talking about 8 hours pretty much that they have to play.
Yeah.
But we carried on the concept into when we moved to Amnesia, because actually we had the second room as well. So we decided to carry on, and it's been working really, really well. We opened first the all night long, so the DJ that's playing all night gets all the people in the first hour, and then we open the terrace. We concentrate all the Elrow madness and all the theatrics in the Elrow room.
Yeah.
And the Elrow city room has a basic decoration. Now it's a basic decoration of a city. You will see it when you come to Amnesia in summer. It's decorated like with cities, and it has like traffic lights and stuff like that. But we don't do performers or anything like that. It has more like a club feel.
Amazing.
Which I think is also good, that you get out of the Elrow craziness if you want for like an hour, and then you can dance into a nightclub or an actual nightclub.
Yeah, I love the concept of all night longs. I did a all night long tour back in 2020, pre-pandemic, January to March.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I grew up, my kind of first real DJing experiences was in Ibiza when I was playing like residencies, and I was playing for like 12 hours a day. And that's kind of like when, for me personally, I learned how to properly DJ.
Yeah.
And I think in this culture now, especially where you have to stack lineups, it doesn't necessarily allow the DJs that want to play longer to play a full set. And I think it's really, I don't see any other brands really doing that, and it's really important.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. And it was the same for me when I started DJing in my hometown. You opened the bar and you closed it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. There was not 3 DJs on the lineup.
No. Yeah.
You open and close, and and this cliche, because it's a cliche, but you take the people on a journey.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Sorry, I find it a cliche, but it's the truth.
No, I did a video for MJ. I'm playing in New York in a couple of weeks for MJ, and he asked me to do like a video about, because I'm doing like a longer set. I think I'm doing like 4 hours. And he asked me to do a video, and I said that in it, and I cringed when I said that I wanted to take him on a journey.
I mean, it's the truth. I remember when I was playing in London, and sometimes in the bar, it was a bar. It was like a cocktail bar. I don't know if you knew it. It was called the Living Room on Cold Harbour Lane.
Okay, no, I didn't.
Brixton.
No.
Sorry. So yeah, my girl is playing with the dogs. So some, like when I started, I was just the opener DJ, if you like. But the opener DJ would play from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I would play anything from like starting with funk, a little bit of hip hop, and I would go into disco, and I would start playing house by the time 10 p.m. came, because that's when the guest DJ would come.
Yeah.
But the guest DJ would play 10 p.m. till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But when I started, I had a bit of a time in there, and I get to know the club, and the owners liked me. They, every now and then they started offering me to do the guest slot, but I was the resident also. So I was like, fuck it. I just, I'll come from 6. I was doing from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. on my own. And I was, again, starting from like more down-tempo, funky music. And, but when I say funk, I would play like James Brown. I would play things like that,
But that's how you learn, right? That's how you learn to be a good DJ.
Man, I learned how to mix on those nights.
Yeah.
I didn't have turntables at my house. I couldn't afford turntables at the time.
Yeah.
So I just kept buying records, but I couldn't play them in my house. So those 10-hour sets, that's when I was sweating trying to mix, the track and not fuck it up. And then suddenly you put this vinyl that has like 3 minutes break that you didn't hear in the show, but because you didn't hear it at home, you were like, fuck, what am I doing now? So, but that's how you learn. And that was the beauty for me of playing like longer sets, because that's when you get to know your music, you get to know yourself, you get to know how to carry a night. Because when people come, like this first place that I started playing, it was a cocktail bar, and it was only by 9 p.m. that they would take the sofas out, and it became a dance floor. So for the first 3 hours, you have to play for people sitting down, which now seems very normal after the pandemic, but before it wasn't really normal to DJ for a sitting crowd. So, you have to be inventive. And I also had like many different sets where I was playing. Sundays, I used to do like a chill out set in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I would play down-tempo music.
That's
it. So, if you love music and you love playing music for people, then that's it. And again, that's how you learn. That's how you learn. You don't learn by DJing for 90 minutes in front of 5,000 people. you learn by sweating your balls off in a booth
in a
for 10
shit
hours.
club. Yeah.
Yeah, in a shit club for 10 hours.
But
especially when it's empty.
Yeah, totally. But I also think that's like what you guys at Elrow do is you actually you have residents, which it's a kind of, the word residence is a very weird concept now for me from what I've experienced, where you don't necessarily have one resident at a club nowadays. It's usually like just local acts, any local act that's just available. And whereas I remember kind of first coming up is you would have like 3 residents and they would just do, like I was a resident in Ibiza in like certain venues, and it was just either me and then a guest every night, and that's kind of what you're expected to do, right? And that resident is generally the better DJ because they know the room and they learn the crowd and they do all of that. Is that the whole concept of having residences for Elrow?
In a way, yes. There is a misconception of resident DJs having to be always the ones that open, and Yes, I agree that some residents will open and we always rotate them. So, we have 10, 11 residents now, across like all the clubs and Monegros and Florida, so including Andres and including the guys that we have in the more disco room and stuff. And, they open, they close, they play in the middle, but we always make a stand that they have to play in between the guests. They just done 3 residents and then 3 guests. No. It always has to be resident, guest, resident, and maybe and most of the times we give the closing to a resident because at the end of the day, when you are an experiential party like we are, and we don't announce the lineups many times until closer to the event, we want to make sure that the people know that they're going to come to a good party, and they, maybe you would like the lineup more or less. The DJ that you love is not getting booked this time, or that. But at least, you're coming to a decent show and to a good show with good DJs. So for us, nurturing the resident DJs has always been super important. Yeah. And, we're happy when they have a career on their own and they just leave us.
Blossom.
So,
yeah.
Great.
I think that's the whole goal, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think for me, like even like having a record label, and I know the record label's in super early days, but the goal for me is to be able to build and help the artists get to a level where they can just go and do their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, look what we've been doing. During the pandemic, we launched this up-and-coming talent contest, which, is something that with Juan especially, we've always talked about and something that we wanted to do. But we just didn't have the time, we were so busy. It's just, you get in the wheel and you don't realize and you don't stop, and the pandemic has helped a lot of us to realize that, okay, hold on, there's other things that we can do. And
totally.
But now we have time to think and to do projects. So, we launched this project and we have, we got over 3,000 applicants to it. From all over the world, and after the competition went through, we have Amadeo and Florencia, which are, 2-bedroom DJs. They've never played in a club before, and now they're playing at Amnesia, and they're playing in Genova, they're playing in France, they're playing Barcelona. They already have an agency. One of them has already been booked to play at Ants in Amnesia. So it's great to see that, you've kind of taken these 2 kids from their bedrooms and put them on a big stage, and and it's working great for them. And they're in their early 20s, man, and it's so good to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I met Did I meet Florencia?
Florencia.
Yeah, I met Florencia, and she's a lovely girl and a wicked DJ as well. But yeah, I couldn't. It's amazing that you guys are doing that because I couldn't even imagine going from bedroom to, because I think when
Amnesia Terrace.
Yeah, or like even where did I, was it Slovenia? No. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. That venue that you'd put the party on
was 8,000 capacity, I think.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like it's an arena. Like it was just a sea of people. And from going from I don't know, I would shit my pants. Going from DJing in your bedroom to DJing in front of 8,000 people.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of balls, don't get me wrong. They skip the whole bar, empty club and stuff like that,
Yeah, huge
But
kahunas.
they did good. They went, they were from close to 4,000 applicants to 2 people. So, they were good.
Yeah, man, it's special. But I think it's important that brands do that, and it comes across very authentic how you guys run it, and I think it obviously is very authentic because it's a family-owned business, and it still is a family-owned business, and it's at the end of the day, I think the morals of it is still to throw a fucking great party.
It will always be that, and I mean, we are part of a bigger group now. That happened, that's kind of like an SFX thing. We still keep control, obviously, and we are still very much in charge of all the decisions. But somebody had to invest in us to be able to grow exponentially, like we have, and and we have great partners within the company. We have Awakenings, we have Sonar in the company, so it makes you grow as a company, and then you see business from another side, from another point of view that other people in other countries are. So it's very much like, if I didn't say this now, nobody would realize. And if you don't know that, that we have some sort of investment behind us, because we keep controlling everything. And at the end, when somebody invests in you, it's because you've done things right, not because they want to change what you've done so far.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think generally investment in big brands. Look at Insomniac in America.
Yeah,
like Pasquale obviously got Insomniac to a certain level, but Live Nation, when Live Nation came and bought half, or I don't fully know the full deal, but that just allows Insomniac to throw more parties to make more people happy. Like,
that's the thing, if we were to grow the way we grew on a private level, it's a very high risk, because you're putting on the table the livelihood of a whole family at the end of the day. And so we would have, I don't know if we would have reached the point that we are now. We would definitely been probably a bit more careful, or we would have been a bit slower the growth. When you have some investment behind you, then you try to put all the meat in the oven and go for it.
Well, I think
we knew we had a good product. We knew we had a good product, and it's proven that it's worked. At the end of the day, people just want to have fun. They don't want to go to a club and have music lessons. They just want to have fun.
I think also with the whole investment thing, it is still about making money, and you still have to run it as a business. Sorry. However, losing money on a couple of parties doesn't affect the business to a certain extent.
Correct. And you can try things, you can see, well, what happens if I go over here? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Am I allowed to lose X amount of money because I'm trying to open new territories? So that gives you a bit of more, peace of mind, and maybe you worry in doing a very good show instead of worrying on not losing money,
Exactly. And I think what you guys do as a brand, you have to, you guys must spend a fortune to throw parties, because the amount of production, like the amount of people, like you have actors, actresses, you have stage builders. Like, how does that all happen?
Oof. What do you mean? In which way? From
like say for instance, from like we okay, let's say for instance we're throwing a party in, I don't know, wherever, London in the UK. We've got a venue in London in the UK. What's it's going to be this theme, and then how does it go from being a theme to actually becoming?
I mean, the themes are created way before we even take it to a club. We have an amazing creative team, and they're crazy as fuck, and that's the great thing about it, because that's just not a crazy idea in here. I mean, I remember years ago we did this April Fool's prank where we said that we just take it over an island in the Caribbean, and we're just gonna do a road 365 days a year. So you could just come on this Elrow resort and you could party, and it doesn't matter what time of the year you would come, there will always be parties. So it's like this all year round festival. And forward 4 years later, and we did Elrow Island last year, which we basically took over an island for 3 days, and we completely themed the island and different stages, and you come and stay and sleep there, and you have performers, greeting you when you come to the island. And so you never know, you never know what a crazy idea is gonna turn into. So yeah, so to answer your question, I mean, if it comes in terms of a theme, it's just like creation. It comes from the office, you throw the ideas, and then you have to put it into blueprints, and we create pretty much everything ourselves in our warehouses. So a lot of the things that we do are made by hand here in Barcelona. So it's a very creative process. And then when it comes to the show, if you want to do a show in London, we don't just go like, oh yeah, this is this amount of money. Now we actually look at the blueprints of the venue, look at pictures of the venue. We see what's the best way to make it more immersive and how we can produce it. And we create a budget based on that. And that's it. We just don't go like, oh, this is this much. There's actually a thought process. And then obviously the logistics of it. And if this theme is here, how you take it from there. So why do you do this one? I mean, I don't work in logistics, but it's probably the hardest part of this business.
Well, yeah, because when I played the New York show recently, like, I was like, this must have just cost a fortune just to put on. Like, well, I know it cost a fortune to put on, if you know what I mean. But it's like, and then the pressure of that as well, to then have to sell tickets, and to also be, especially now, to be in a market where big events need to sell tickets, but also there's so much competition going on. It's just like non-stop. I couldn't even imagine the stress of what it can bring on sometimes.
Yeah, it is stressful, but I think one thing that we did good, or the family did good, is that we kind of separated a little bit from everyone else, and we tried to bring something new into and it's not, we didn't invent the wheel again in here, There's been still walkers at space in the terrace for many years, and Manumission was already doing crazy stuff with theatrics. So I think we just kind of combined fun elements and made them into a crazy party, Well, it worked.
What I've always said about Elrow is that it filled a gap in the market when nobody else. There came a point in clubbing for me, and I'm happy to be wrong on this, but there came a point where it just became about a dark room and DJs, and it was getting all very serious for a short period of time, and Manumission got ended. Fun fact, I was a performer at Manumission one of the years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask what you were doing.
I wasn't. It was so random. I was peeling carrots and potatoes in people's faces. But when all that stopped, it kind of, there was something missing. And I know you guys were doing things before then, and as the family, they were doing things, but the Elrow just filled a gap of fun that was just lacking in the industry, and I think that's why it did so well so quickly.
I think so. I think the good appeal about Elrow is that, as you say, it became about a dark room and lasers, strobes, and not to be sexist in any way, but that doesn't appeal to a lot of people, and especially girls. They don't want to be in a dark room full of sweaty guys, dancing and high on whatever they're taking. And, I think what we did was just open dance music to people that not necessarily are coming from a dance music background. I know some people hate us because we did that, and especially some purists, and I know some people don't want to play Elrow because they think it's a joke. Yeah, fine, I'm okay with that. No, it's not even fuck them. It's you don't want to come, It's okay. There's millions of DJs in this world, and I've taken people that they were saying like, oh, Elrow is it's just a gimmick, blah blah blah, and I've taken them to Elrow, to an Elrow event, and they go like, okay, yeah. Maybe it won't be my first choice of a party, but it's a fucking good party. It's a fun party. I had a lot of fun, So I can understand there's people that they just want to go and listen to music and get in the music, and they don't want anything to happen around them. They just want to get lost in the music. And I'm one of them. I used to be like one of them, I used to go to see DJs and just, get there. But this is fun, man. There's nothing wrong with having fun. People want to have fun. People want to escape from their daily issues. And I think Elrow is a good escape. It's as good escape as any other.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. You guys have done some amazing parties.
Thank you.
To end the podcast, I generally ask people to give one bit of advice to anybody. Not music, not anything, just life advice. I know we've had "Don't be a dick." That's been a classic one all through this podcast. But do you have any one bit of advice that you would give or that you've lived by?
It's just tough. My dad always said to me, and it's funny. I saw there was on this Facebook group that there was like, what would be the best advice you would give to anyone? And I wrote this, which was what my dad used to tell me all the time. And to this day, he keeps telling me, don't give me any advice. I like to make my own mistakes, So I don't know if that counts as advice, but, learn from them, which means in a way for me, what it means is learn from your own mistakes, learn. Yeah. I think you have to be your own individual, and I think you have to, have your own identity, and not because somebody tells you that if you go right, you're going to have it easier. Well, maybe if you go left, it's going to be harder, but the reward is going to be much bigger, No, you have to know yourself and know where you want to go and where you want to be. And, yes, listen to people, but don't take every advice to heart.
I love that. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to catch up.
Thank you, man.
And I'll see you in, I think, just over a month.
See you in July, New York.
Yeah, man.
Great. Is it in July
Ibiza,
or no?
Ibiza.
In Ibiza before.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing New York.
You're in New York? Sorry.
No, I don't. I don't think I am, but I don't know. Maybe. Are you going to Electric Zoo?
No, I won't be Electric Zoo. No. That's. I'm coming to New York on the 23rd of July. That's why I thought that I might see you there. But if you're not playing this one, then I'll probably see you in Ibiza.
I'm not there.
No, it's such a busy summer.
Are you doing Ibiza every week?
No, not me. Not me. Juan or anybody from the family will be there. We'll take turns.
Cool.
So I don't know still which ones I'm going to be there, but I'm sure I'll catch you.
I think I'm there on the 2nd of July, and then somewhere in 2nd
of July.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not there that one.
Cool.
But no worries.
Great to talk. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Peace, man.
See you soon.
Bye.
Yes. Bye.
And that is a wrap. Big love to Victor for coming on. Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe. Give us some reviews. It keeps the podcast going. Thank you so much. Keep safe.